So today we're going to be doing an easy 5-minute paddleboarding tutorial for beginners. So step one, what you want to do is choose the right paddleboard for starting out. I would recommend, if you are a beginner and you're looking to get a great board to start out with, I would recommend getting a board that's long or wider than 32 inches. And if you're taller than about 6 foot, I would recommend getting a 11 foot or 12 foot board. And beyond that, anybody under 6 foot can really benefit from a 10-foot board at the absolute minimum is what I would recommend. So what you want to keep in mind is the width of the board and what it's built for. Because there's a lot of different boards out there that are going to be really cheap that aren't really built for beginners and stability. But the width is the best thing to look at, because there's a lot of boards that have like 33 inches, 34 inches in width that are going to be great for you to choose. So the next thing that you're going to want to do for step number 2 is learn how to hold your board or hold your paddle and choosing the right height for your paddle. So let's go ahead and get on my board and show you guys a little bit about it. So as far as height of the paddle, what I recommend is putting your arm up straight and adding a slight bend to it. And that will get you about the right height that you'll want your paddle at. What you'll also notice is most of the time what you'll have is a bit of a curve on your paddle. You'll want this end facing the rear end of the paddleboard, with most of the time having the logo on the front end of your paddle is how a lot of paddles are built, is having the logo face frontwards. Next, you'll notice some of these handles have a little bit more of a curvature on the front end, so you want to make sure the handle has the more curved end towards the front and it's comfortable for your hand. But beyond that, step number 3 is getting on your board, which I'm on, so I'm going to get on. So what I recommend doing is, if you're just starting out, is to get on your paddleboard in a shallow location. And what you can actually do is, if you don't have really big fins, which this one does have a 9-inch thin, but it still is relatively fine right here, is you can just kneel on your board. So then as you kneel on the board, you can get a comfortable distance where you can paddle around and your fins aren't going to be in the way of how deep the water is. Typically what you want to do most of the time is be relatively close to the center handle and even right above it. But with our knees, we'll have it just right behind. So step number 3 out the way, step number 4 is standing up. So standing up can be the hard part sometimes, but what you want to do is have your feet in the center of the board, shoulder length apart, right where the handle is. So what you can do is use your paddle for stability. That's what it's meant for. And that's why we're going to start out in a shallow location, because you can easily keep yourself where you want. But you can put your paddleboard on the board, one leg up, other leg up, and you can stand right up. And as you stand up, you can use your paddle like this on your board, or you can get it in the water. All right, so your next step is going to be learning some of the strokes that's going to benefit you on your board. That being your forward stroke, reverse stroke, and your sweep stroke. Forward stroke is where you hold your paddleboard, make sure it's right hand in the center. If you're paddling the right side, left hand up here. And as you switch, you just switch hands. It's a smooth process. But beyond that, the forward stroke is just simply paddling towards the rear end of your board, and that will push you forward. Got my fin stuck. And for a reverse stroke, see if we're over here and I'm going forward, I can simply flip the paddle around and go backwards. Then we have the wide stroke, which will allow you to, or sweep stroke, which you'll do at a wider arc, which allows you to turn a lot easier. This is a touring board, so it doesn't turn the greatest. So just keep in mind, different boards are going to turn different ways. So if you have a 10-foot board, it's going to turn a lot easier than some of these other ones that are 12 foot long. And the last thing to do is just keeping in mind, with balancing tips in mind, you want to keep your eyes on the horizon. If you're really worried about your balance, you'll have your knees bent just slightly, and that will allow you to be a lot more comfortable And lastly, your paddle is your friend. And that is your quick and easy paddleboard tutorial.